Guys, so excited for this Sunday night. We are starting our brand new series where we are getting into gender roles. 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about how men and women are different, but we don't need to be divided. That innate difference doesn't create things to be fought against, but things to be celebrated and honored and loved and cherished. I'm really excited about this series. Admittedly, so I've been doing this for a little while now. There's a certain level of stress and worry with like all sermons, and then it feels like once or twice a year there's a sermon series that just is higher than that. Like it's more stressful, it's more worrisome, it has more of my attention and heart and focus and prayer, and this series has been that. There's been a lot of reading that I've been doing, a lot of talking to friends about this and prayer, and I think that we've got something that I'm really happy with. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I think that God is going to speak in really cool ways, and this is something that our kids aren't talking about actively. So throughout the 3 weeks, the goal of this series is to call a high level of accountability on the boys in the room, not to negate any sort of accountability towards women in the room, but there's a level of accountability that Scripture calls men to specifically, that I know it was written in a patriarchal society and we need to take that into account, but I think there's still truth in there. And there's something that I think our boys need to hear. And since they're going to men like Andrew Tate to listen to their thoughts, I think that there's important facts in that. And at the same time, what I want to really encourage through these 3 weeks is that women should be treated with the absolute highest honor and respect and love, and men should be as well. Like ultimately, at the end of the day, we should love each other. And that sounds so basic and so rudimentary and so hippie. I think it's what Scripture teaches. So this first week, what we're going to be getting into, so we're going to be looking at the Genesis account, and we're going to be looking at Genesis 2 and Genesis 3. And we're going to be highlighting some facts that are similar in 2 and 3 and that are different in 2 and 3. And what we're going to be getting into is this idea that even in perfect creation, the sexes were separate. There was male and there was female, but they were equal. There wasn't this hierarchy. That comes after the fall. So the difference isn't what we should be fighting against. The hierarchy is something that we should be trying to figure out how that should work and how we can get back to what it was like in Eden. And so this first week, we're not coming up with a whole lot of solutions. We're just highlighting the problems. And at the end, we've got a couple of applications where we're going to be just really kind of talking about like, how do we start leveling the playing field even within our own hearts between men and women? Like, how can we start celebrating things that the opposite sex is doing or accomplishing? And how can we stop tearing down the opposite sex? You know, making jokes about how all boys are dumb or how all girls are whatever. You know, the one that always comes to my mind is that boys are from Mars to eat more candy bars, and girls are from Jupiter because they're just stupider. And like that sort of stuff, where it feels innocent, but it's the start of getting to really dark, scary places. So that's going to be what we're focusing on this week. We've already got Convos live, so if there are any edits that you think we should make in those, please read over them. Please let me know. And we're going to be playing some Minute to Win It games with the guys against the girls. It'll be really fun. Austin is leading all of those, so he's going to be just taking on a bigger chunk of responsibility over these 3 weeks, which will be really cool. And then the following week, what our sermon is going to be kind of getting into a little bit, and I have just started scratching out the details of this. We want to dive into the tensions within Scripture, specifically the New Testament. We want to get into moments where Paul seems to say things in direct opposition to himself, specifically about men and women. And so we're going to get into that a little bit, and I think that will be really, really cool. We're going to talk about the entirety of Scripture and the robustness of all Scripture and how we have to have these points where it seems to contradict each other so that we can dive really deep into the whole catalog of Scripture, and I think that'll be really, really fun. But I'm just starting to work on that, and I think it'll be a good time. So, guys, through all of this, would you join me in prayer? I've been praying for this series like crazy. This is one that is just loaded. So many people, so many students, so many of us can mishear something or misspeak on something and upset somebody. And, we've all got important women in our lives. We've all got important men in our lives. And it feels like this is something that we're just constantly trying to figure out. And so would you continue praying with me over this series, over our students, that through this, they would hear the voice of God above our own voice, above my voice, above our culture's voice, that they could walk out of this series feeling like they can hear God's call on their lives and how to interact with the opposite sex. I think that's what I hope for the most out of this, that we can all be a little bit more like Jesus because of this. So guys, thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for praying with me over this series and over these next few weeks. Thank you for the way that you pour into these kids' lives and that you care about them and you model for them what following Jesus in a broken world looks like. Thank you for not having it all together and still encouraging these students. As I love getting to serve with you. I can't wait to hang out with you. This week after student ministry, come join me at Applebee's. I've got some really big stuff that I'd like to talk to you about. I don't think a video is the time. And I don't want to set up like a specific, really intentional training over it. It's just something I want to talk about. But I'd love to talk about it with you guys. So join me at Applebee's afterwards. Drinks are always on me. And grab yourself an app, and we'll have a good time. So, guys, I love getting to hang out with you. Can't wait to serve with you this Sunday night.